Hi everyone. My name is Vishal and welcome to our Snowflake Zero to Hero series. This is going to be part 7 where we are going to take a deep dive into the file format. In this, I'm not just going to cover some of the theoretical theory part of the file format, but we will be also going to get our hands dirty using some exercises. In my last video, when I ingested the data from the Snowflake UI, and if you remember that there it got created, this automatically get created by the Snowflake, one table, the temporary file format, and this stays. So in Snowflake, if I'm going to insert the data through any channel, either it is a UI, SnowSQL, SnowPipe, or from third-party tool like a Medallion, Informatica, Fivetran, we need to create the file format and the stages. If I'm not going to create it, then it will be created at the runtime. But yes, we should have these objects. So in the Snowflake, the file format is basically a database level object, which is going to give you information, which is going to help the Snowflake to inform about the data, what kind of the file type you are getting, the compression method, and what other formats you want Snowflake to apply on that particular data while loading and unloading your data. What does it mean? What if I'm getting a CSV file, then I need to inform Snowflake that, hey, I'm going to get the CSV file. This is going to have some headers, and this is my record delimiter. This is my field delimiter. If I'm not going to do it, then Snowflake is going to assume that there we have some default values it is going to take, and what would be the result? Either you are going to get an error or you will be inserting some bad records into some. It happened multiple of the time where you are where I did not use the accurate file format and I thought it is going to like it worked. It also ingested the data, but when I started validating the data, I found a lot of bad records into some of the columns. So we need to declare this file format, and we are going to pass all the parameters based on my data. So whatever the input file I'm receiving from the client, I'll just take a look of it, and based on it, I'm going to define the parameters of the file format. If I'm getting a JSON file, XML, Avro, ORC, or Parquet, I'm going to create a separate file format for each type of file. So the Snowflake will understand, oh yes, the Vishal is going to insert this type of file. I need to be ready, and I will be taking this data and will be inserting in a JSON way or into a CSV way. Or let me just give you one simple example. If I'm going to, someone gifted me a piece of suit, okay, and I'm going to give it to a tailor, but if I'm not specifying that I need a three piece or a two piece or I need a jodhpuri, I need a different style, then he will be giving me a default a suit. He's not even going to give me a three piece because I did not mention it. I may not be liking it. I may get frustrated that, hey, what have you done? But that's not the tailor mistake. It's my mistake because I did not tell him what is my requirement exactly. Okay, so similarly, here also I will be creating a file format before ingesting the data. So let's see that I'm going to create every single thing here, every single object. This was the temporary file format created by the Snowflake. Okay, so if I just check it whether we do have any file formats or not, I'm going to run command show file formats. Right now I don't see any file format in my current database YouTube learning raw data schema. So to create any file format, I'm going to write create the. It is very simple to create any object into the Snowflake. You need to specify which object you are going to create and the name of it. So today we will be inserting some CSV data. So I'm going to create CSV type, or you can just say CSV1. This is going to be the name of my file format. You are free to name anything. Then next, the mandatory parameter of every file format we have is the type. If I'm going to specify CSV, then yes, we are going to provide some structured data here. That is the mandatory parameter. If I'm just going to create it, my file format is created. I haven't given any other parameters. I have not provided any other parameter. If you will look at here, we have skip header, field delimiter, or like some other parameter also. I'll give you the documentation link where you can go through. But this Snowflake is going to provide some default values for the other parameter. So if I'm going to run the show file formats one more time, I get the entry. If I scroll to the right, these are the format options. Okay, similarly, if I write describe file format and the name of it CSV1, then these are the values I have it for this particular CSV1. I do have 23 properties here. If I look at it, the type is the CSV. This is the default property also. Then every values here, this is the property value provided by my side, but because I did not give any parameter, so it is exactly same as the default values here. Now let me add some values here. So I'm going to minimize the result window, and the very first thing I'm going to add here, I will be running create or replace. Otherwise, I can simply run alter command also. The type, the first one I know, my file will be having a one record like first header. So I'm going to write skip header equal to 1. Then next would be having a field delimiter. What would be my field delimiter? It would be comma. So I'm going to mention that. Then next is going to be my record delimiter. And the record delimiter is going to be my next line. You can just mention like /r. Okay, so this field delimiter is, it can be comma, it can be pipe, it can be tab, or like depending on your data. So it's not like static. Okay, now next, after this, we will be using some other parameters. But before that, I want you to show some errors. So I'm going to create this one. This file format CSV1 successfully created, and I'm going to run this describe command one more time so that you can see what is the value provided by your side and what got updated. You see, this is provided by you and this is with the default parameter, which is fine. So let's get started. This is the file emp load which I wanted to insert into it. But one thing, we do have 9 column, but I'm going to create only 8 column into my table. I do not want this load time column because this is an audit column. This can be like one load time or loaded by, and client clearly say that I do not want these audit column in my table. I say let's fine. So let me just create this table. For that, I'm going to use some Excel. This EMPID is int and the name is varchar. Here only I'm just passing it. This is varchar. Phone number is int. We do have the address. We have varchar, and the company name is also varchar. Experience is int, and then join date is my date parameter. Sorry, the date data type. I'm going to copy it. In fact, Control X, and I'll come here, and then I'm going to create a table. Create table emp load. Now in this, I'm going to declare all this thing. I'm going to take this one, this comma. So first, now one more thing. In SQL Server, if you have any space into your column name, you can simply put it into the big bracket. But it doesn't work like that into the Snowflake. For that, you need to wrap up into the double quotes like that. So I give it this data type. This is all my data type here. And then I am going to experience, and this one. Oh, sorry. And my table got created, emp load. Fine. Till this point is fine. And I am going to try to insert the data into the emp load, but this time I'm going to use my file format CSV1, and then I'm going to get some error. This is for sure that I'm going to get some error, but we will be looking at it, and one by one, we are going to rectify that error. Okay, so step 1, we create file format. Step 2, we create table. And then step 3, load file using, although you will be like, either you're going to ingest through the SnowPipe or the SnowSQL, but yeah, step 1 and 2 will definitely be there. And in fact, you will be creating a stage also, but this time we're going to use a table stage, which is going to be like the default state created by the Snowflake. Now, I'm going to refresh it. I do have this raw data. Into the table I'll come, and in this table, this is this emp load. I'll click on 3 dots, click on load data, and I'm going to select this browse. So first let me just save this file, this emp load. I'll come here, I'm going to click on browse, and this is my, okay, so I'm going to click on this date modified. Okay, where it is in the Snowflake training. Yes, this is emp load table we do have here. I'm going to click on open and click on next. So it's pretty easy. We have seen it into the previous day also, but this time when we come into this space here, now you see the error, but no, we are first going to get my file format. So you see here, when you're going to click in this file format in the left hand side, you're going to get this option file format in the current databases. So we have created it already. I'm going to select the CSV1. Now, if you will look at the show SQL, we are going to use the file format, this one. Earlier, it was creating a file format, that it was creating a table, but we are ingesting into the existing table. So no create table, no create file format script we are getting here. And we are getting on error abort statement. That means if any of the error occurred while copying the data from here, this stage to into this table, it should abort the statement. That's completely fine. I'm going to click on hide SQL. Look at these two errors I'm getting. Okay, so first thing, it is saying that auto fix the column name. So it should be the joining date, which is fine. But I'm getting this error, this column name not in destination, not in destination. So I'm going to uncheck this. I uncheck these one. Okay, but look at this problem, look at the error here. Some of the data is coming 234, some of the table, some of the dates I'm getting. If you will look at here, my joining date is all having 17/8/2024, but then why I'm seeing 234 over here? If I'm going to click on this load, it will throw an error. It was expected. The error I'm getting, the first error, number of column in file is 10, does not match the number of corresponding table. In that means, like, I know it's not 10 column, it's 9 column, but why it is saying 10 column? Because if you will look at closely in the address column, I have some values which is already like it needs to be considered as a single value, but it has a comma. So when I gave here, I'm just going to cancel that. When I gave here this one file format, it is comma, field delimiter is comma, so it is considering this one as two separate fields. So that is why this 2 was coming into the joining date, and it was showing that we have a 10 fields. So to resolve this error first, I like this comma, because this needs to be considered into a one column only, then I will be coming here and then write alter file format CSV1, and here you are going to write set one property. We have field optionally enclosed by, and then you're going to mention double quotes. Okay, now I updated this one. I'm going to refresh also. So I added this field optionally enclosed. This is when we have commas in single column. Fine. Now I'm going to repeat the same process. Going to click on emp load, click on load data here, click on browse. Going to do that. emp load, click on open. Now click on next. I will be selecting my file format here from this existing data, CSV1. Earlier I was getting 2 error, but now I'm just getting 1 error. And if you will look at closely here, I'm just going to uncheck it, but all the columns, all the like correct values coming into the joining date, which is fine. So one error we fix it, but again it is going to break, that it will say that we have a 9 column into the file, but does not match the corresponding table 8. So for this error, whenever we are getting a column count mismatch, I need to update my file format one more time, and here I will be writing set error on column count mismatch. See, one more thing. If I'm just going to describe it, look at this. Here we have one property is error on column count mismatch. Look at it. By default, it's true. So if there is any difference in the column from the file and table, it will throw an error. So you need to copy this one, and you need to make it as a false mismatch, and this will be false. Now when I updated it, now I'll get a different error. So let's see that also. I'm going to repeat the same process. Click on load data here. I'm going to do the browse, the same file emp load. Going to open that. Click on next. I'm going to select my file format. Now, if I'm going to uncheck this one, it will, it should load, but it won't. It will throw an error on this joining date column you see here. Now I get a different error which is saying date 17/8/2024 is not recognized. And why I'm getting this error? So if I click on done, now the next error we got is this error is not recognized. Why? Because Snowflake's default date format is YYMMDD. So if I write select current date, so my file, like what is the default file format? Well, sorry, date format, YYY. But we are getting the file into DD-MM-YYY. So this is why it is not accepting it. So in this case, I'm going to write this alter one more time. And here I'm going to update now this. And I need to write date for. By default, it's default set, but we will be updating it. Whatever the values you are getting, I am getting under this like in the format of DD/MM/YYY. But if you are getting DD/MM/ something, like I'm getting -1, sorry. But if you're getting YY/MM/DD, that custom values you can type over here. I'm going to update this one, and then I'm going to repeat the same process, the load data, do the same steps here, emp load, open, click on next. And then if you will look at these steps CSV1 here, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? I guess I picked a wrong different file. The 7. Okay, wait a minute. Sorry, wait. I'm actually like I mistakenly have selected a customer. Mistakenly have selected customer. It should be emp load. So I'm going to click on next one, and here I'm going to select my CSV1. This is selected one. Yes, it's showing in one error, but I'm not going to select this one. I'm going to click on load, and it will successfully load the data. So we have seen multiple error. First one is when we have a multiple values into a single column. Then for that, we're going to use field option in close by. Then the next, if I'm having some audit column, some extra column, and I need not to ingest that, then I'm going to use error on column count mismatch. The third is the date. Similarly, we have the other file format. So other options also, just describe file format. If I'm going to write it, same thing, you're going to use it for your time. By default, it's auto, but if you're getting into HS24 MISS, you're going to update this time or timestamp format you're going to use. I will be giving you one exercise into this comment section, and for that exercise, you have to update this encoding properties, or you need to check with this escape and close field. So these are the two things you're gonna check it, escape and close field or encoding. And rest, we have some properties, which is like if you are getting some null and you want it to null, you want to replace with some values, trim space, if there is some spaces coming in your any of the column you wanted to space, like you wanted to trim that. So these are some important parameters which we have covered, and rest is by your exercises, you're going to cover it. For more into this file format, although I have covered all the important parameters, but this is just focus on the CSV, and in the next videos we will be ingesting the semi-structured data also. So you can see that this record delimiter, field delimiter is very important. This file extension is going to be used when we are unloading this data to, let's say, S3 or ADLS. Okay, then this is the skip header, skip blank line. It's as the name suggests, like if my file is having some 20 or 100 blank lines, I do not want it to insert, I can simply use that option. Okay, so then field option in close by, error on column count mismatch, and we're going to use this encoding. What if you're getting some special characters? By default, it's a UTF-8. I'm going to give you that file which is going to throw an error, and you have to update this encoding options. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you really enjoyed it, and share with your friends. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe the channel. Please share this video with others. Have a good day.